I am the Firebot 4000. You are terminated. Leave the office now.
Firing people sucks. It is absolutely not fun. But it is necessary. Sometimes if we run a business and we have employees, we're going to have to fire people. If you've never done it before or you haven't done it very many times, the first thing I want you to know is it's going to be okay. It will. It's hard, and getting through it is hard, and especially the first time, it is gut-wrenching, but it will be okay. And as I have worked through my career, I have come up with a great way to fire people. And I'm going to teach you how to make it as okay as possible. All right? So we're going to start where most people start when they think about firing, which is, what are you going to say? What are you going to say to this person when you've got them in front of you and it's time to terminate them? 3 rules for an effective firing. First, be complete. Second, be kind. And third, be quick. Okay? Complete, kind, quick. That's what we're going to do. What do I mean by this? Let's talk about complete. One of the tragic errors that people sometimes make when they're firing somebody for the first time is being so wishy-washy about it that the person doesn't even know they're being fired. You know, it's
So, Nelly, the reason I've asked you in here is, as you know, we've discussed your performance and it hasn't been what we've been looking for in this position and role.
And what happens is it's such a gentle conversation that Nelly actually doesn't know they've been fired. And I've seen situations where Nelly then gets up, goes back to her desk, continues working, right? And then the boss has to go get her, drag her back into the room, and fire her a second time. She didn't even understand that it happened. So we need to be complete. When we start firing somebody, we are going to tell them what's happening. Nelly, this is your termination meeting. That's it. Making sure they know up top, this is what's happening. Complete also means we need all the paperwork. Don't go running for their final paycheck. Don't go trying to find their COBRA paperwork while they sit in the room. Have it all in front of you. Have it all ready to give to them. Be complete. Be ready for the entire activity to take place. Now, when I say that, sometimes people think that I'm advocating for a robotic approach. You know,
I am the Firebot 4000. You are terminated. Leave the office now.
That's not what I'm doing. Okay. We do need to be complete, but once we're complete, then we can be kind. And this is something that gets overlooked in the firing process, especially if it's someone you have a close relationship with. You know, what I do when I'm going to say something that I know is going to be really hard for someone is sometimes I shut down and I just kind of go into a cold place where I've got to get through it. But you know what I remember? I remember that today is worse for them than it is for me. I'm going to leave this room and my life is going to be largely unchanged. They're going to leave this room and their life is going to be dramatically changed. And no matter how much they deserve it, no matter how much I've warned them or they've earned this termination, that doesn't mean it's fun. It's okay to be kind. It's okay to acknowledge that it hurts. Hey, I need to let you know that this is your termination meeting. Today's your last day working here. I know this is hard news to hear, and you know, I'm sorry that I have to give it to you. Here's what's going to happen. Being kind is okay, especially with someone you've had a long-term relationship with. Just because you're firing them doesn't negate all the good moments or good memories that you may have had in the past. It also doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. Sometimes I think people don't want to be kind because they're afraid that if they're kind, that they're acknowledging fault, like they shouldn't be doing the fire. Things can be both true and necessary and painful. Putting down an animal who's sick is really sad. It's painful, but it's also necessary and it's also the right thing to do. The same is true of terminating somebody. The third thing that we're going to do is we're going to be quick about it. So I'm not saying rush, but I am saying use the minimum number of words and the minimum amount of time to get it done, because it is excruciating for the person sitting across the table. The person who's sitting there thinking about how they can't pay their rent, they can't pay their credit card bill, they have to tell all their friends they lost their job, they're never going to see their coworkers again. They would like to get out of that room as quickly as possible. So we don't want to drag it out. We're going to say what needs to be said, and then we're going to end the meeting. A good termination takes 4 to 6 minutes, I think. It's quick. And the next thing that we're going to do, now that we know what we're going to say and how we're going to say it, is we're going to practice before the meeting. Because I was talking to an attorney once who told me that she has seen more money lost by employers who ad-libbed during a firing than on almost any other situation. So we want to make sure before we go into the room that we know what we're going to say, so we don't accidentally say something really stupid that could come back to bite us in the butt later on. And practice with someone, not with one of their coworkers. I have seen that, and that's a terrible idea. I don't know why people do that. Practice with someone, another manager, your spouse, a friend of yours, and let them tell you how it's coming across, okay? Because we can't hear ourselves. So practice with someone who can tell you, that sounds good, that works, or that's too long, or that's too hard. And then when it comes time to actually doing the deed, the when and the where are important. When? Friday afternoon, or the end of the person's last shift of the week. And the reason for that, and social science has shown this, is that people who get fired at the end of their last shift that week, that means they wake up the next morning and that was going to be a day off anyways. And that just feels a little better. And we're going to make sure when we fire them that someone else is in the room. Really important tip here, if the person we're firing has had a lot of beef with their manager, don't have that manager in the room, because that's going to it's just going to elevate that tension and that friction. So don't have the person's direct manager fire them. Have another manager handle the termination meeting. Always have a buddy in the room, though. Always have somebody else there. If you don't have another manager in your company, you can get your attorney. You can get the owner of another business that you're friends with. Anybody else, make sure your firing is not a one-on-one situation, so that if there are any questions later on about what was said or what happened, you have a witness. And now there are two things that we are not going to do when we fire somebody. The first thing is we are not going to argue with them.
Look, I'll tell you why you're being fired. You're being fired because you can't make your quota. Okay? What, it's so hard? Right? Everybody else makes the quota. You can't make your quota. I told you over and over again how much you got to sell. Why can't you sell that much?
I'm not making my quota. You're the one who gave me the shittiest territory in this godforsaken town, and then you won't give me the discounts I need to sell to these people. You're telling me it's my fault. You're the one who should be fired. You're the one who can't manage a sales team.
We're not going to argue, okay? And the way we're going to avoid arguing is, one, again, as we've already said, we're going to be quick. When we fire somebody, we're not going to give them a long list of reasons why it's happening, because that just gives them something to argue about. And the other thing is, if they attempt to argue with us, or if they ask us questions about why this is happening, we are now going to turn into a little bit of a repetition machine. Not a robot, but a little bit of a repetition machine. Okay, something along the lines of, hey, I understand that this is something that you want to talk about. What we need to do in this room right now today is we need to get you out of here. So we need to finish up this process, get you all your paperwork, get your employee materials back from you, and get you on your way. If you want to talk about this, call me in a week. I am happy to talk to you about why this termination is taking place. But right now is not that time. And if they push, you can repeat that a couple of times until they understand, hey, we're not here to get into an argument. You're not going to argue with them. And the second thing, especially, this is something I especially see when there's a close relationship and when someone hasn't terminated very many people, is don't try to get them to agree with you that they ought to be fired. Oh, seriously, this happens a lot where people start to lay it all out, and I talked to you and we tried and didn't you know, and they actually try to get the other person to agree that this is the right decision. That's not for them to do. Don't ask the person you're firing to forgive you. No one you fire is going to agree that they should be fired. It's not how it works. So I'm going to show you how this works. Here's how I do it, start to finish. Adrian, thanks for coming in. I need to let you know that this is your termination meeting. Today is your last day working here at this company. And I know this is hard news to hear, and I'm sorry that you're going to have to go through this right now. So here's what we're going to do right now. I have some paperwork for you. Okay. Here's your final paycheck. Here's your COBRA, which is for your health insurance if you want to continue on with your health insurance. And here's some information about the benefits that the company offers in terms of our career placement services that's available to you to find your next opportunity. What I need to do right now in this meeting is I need to get from you your company phone, and your company key card. So do you have those on you? Can you give those to me? I appreciate it. Right now, Mike is packing up your desk, and he is going to be in here in a minute with your things. When he knocks on the door, that'll be what that knock is. And then we're gonna give you that box, and we'll get you out of here and on your way. I'm not going to talk to you about why this decision has been made. The decision is made, but do you have any questions for me about the termination process? Do you have any questions for me about what we're doing right here, right now, today, about what's going on? Yeah, that's a good question. The balance of your PTO is in your final paycheck. You'll see that on the stub. So that'll be all taken care of. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to stop you there. I really am not going to get into why this decision has been made. If that's something that you want to talk about, and I understand that, feel free to give me a call in like a week, right? And I'm happy to talk to you about why this decision was made and kind of what went into it. But that's not what we're here for today. For right now, what we need to do is focus on getting you out of here. Okay. And that's what we're doing. Oh, that knock, that's Mike. So I'm going to go get your box and we'll get you on your way. That's it. That's how I do it, right? Complete, kind, and quick. It's a tough thing to do, but there's a way to do it well. If you do it well, you are much less likely to have problems with that employee in the future, or, much less likely to have problems with that ex-employee in the future. And, to be less likely to get that bad review on Glassdoor or, those other things that employees do when they don't think they've been treated fairly in termination. So go out there, get it done. Good luck. It's going to be tough. You're going to get through it. And it's going to feel a whole lot better when you're done. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you next time. Bye.